Ahead of the president's visit to Louisiana tomorrow, the questions today. Why the repeated golf outings during the devastating flooding? Roll tape.
Was any consideration given to suggesting that the president perhaps not play golf on the same day that the Republican candidate was going to Louisiana?
Not that I'm aware of.
Why not?
Again, because the president was focused on the federal response. The president has been focused on the response and not, frankly, as concerned with the optics as all of you appear to be.
But you seem to acknowledge earlier that the optics do have an influence, that they matter.
Well, they matter in as much as there are plenty of critics of the Obama administration that seize on those optics because they can't, frankly, criticize the response. So they gotta find something to criticize the president about.
All right, the administration clearly not concerned about the optics. Kevin Paul Scott says it should be. Bernard Whitman disagrees. Bernard, to you first. This is not the first time that the president has played golf during the beheading of an American. He was doing the wave in Cuba during the Brussels bombing, now golfing during the Louisiana flooding. And you say the optics, the way the country feels about the president and his response to crisis, you say that doesn't matter?
No, I never said that at all. I think that actually does matter, but I think what is far more important, what the press secretary talked about, is what has been the response. And the response has been overwhelmingly positive. The FEMA director is talking to the governor and all the local officials on a daily basis. The president is working with the FEMA director to ensure that the people down, the first responders, have all the resources. And frankly, I think Governor John Bel Edwards was correct when he said on Thursday, don't come, don't divert the resources. Let the first responders take care of the 100,000 people who have been affected. That is what's really important.
Bernard, I'm sticking with you for a second. Isn't the president the comforter-in-chief, and you've got to be there to do it?
Well, I think at times yes, and at times no. I think you have to defer to the local officials. The governor said, you know what, please don't come yet. Frankly, Donald Trump stepped in it and now put Obama in a box. I don't think the president actually should be there next week.
Kevin, number one, there is the argument that the president should not go and get in the way of rescue. And number two, Donald Trump got there first. What do you say?
Well, the president didn't show up. He stayed on vacation, and the questions you have to ask, a couple of them. Number one, if he was up for re-election, if he had a campaign, would he have been there? I think the answer is yes. Number two, if Hillary was close to Trump in the polls there, if she had a legitimate shot to win, would he have gone sooner to help Hillary? Probably. So the reality is that at this point, the president is caring more about his golf vacation than being there for the American people. And that is just abundantly obvious, and even so much that people like the New York Times have called it out, because he just is not doing his job. And he would. Here's the thing. He cares about optics when he's up for re-election. He doesn't care about optics because he only has 6 months left.
Bernard, Hillary is up for election. Why doesn't she go with the president tomorrow?
Well, Hillary has done, I think, what the responsible thing is. And she has said to her supporters, please donate to the American Red Cross. Please donate to the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. I'm going to go when it's not going to divert resources away. You know what I think is actually...
She's going to fundraisers, Beverly Hills,
you know what,
and
she's trying to fundraise also for the Red Cross and the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. You know what I think is actually the real problem here? The problem is we're not calling out public officials like Stephen Scalise, who led the fight against funding for Superstorm Sandy and is now going to Washington hat in hand to ask for money for the flood victims who they deserve. But it's about policy. It's not about politics.
Kevin, hold on a second. I want to roll some tape from the year 2008 when then-Senator Obama was criticizing George Bush for the performance over Katrina. Roll that tape.
We can talk about what happened for a few days in 2005, and we should. We can talk about levees that couldn't hold, about a FEMA that seemed not just incompetent, but paralyzed and powerless, about a president who only saw the people from the window of an airplane instead of down here on the ground, trying to provide comfort and aid.
All right, Kevin, what changed?
Well, you know, now he's in charge. Instead of talking about it, you actually have to act. And one of the most important roles of leadership is showing up. And I understand the idea, what is he actually going to do on the ground? But he's the president of the United States of America. That means showing up and being there for all of the American people. This is a huge miss, and it's a miss they wouldn't make if they were trying to win an election. Right now, he's just enjoying his vacation.
I'll give you the last word, Whitman.
Here's what I will say. As terrible as the deaths of 13 people in Louisiana have been and the 100,000 people who have been affected, almost 2,000 people died after Hurricane Katrina, largely because of the complete failure of the government response. This government response has been extraordinary, and I think the president deserves a lot of credit.
Wish we had more time. Bernard Whitman and Kevin Paul Scott, thank you both of you for joining us.
Good to see you again, Stuart.
Thanks, Stuart.